What is up? What is up? First of all, it's been a great time over the last couple of weeks. We've been having a lot of fun, and it's God of War week, baby. First of all, I want to make sure that you all can hear my illustrious co-host, the co-host with the infamous person of all of the games you like to play. His name is Slow-Mo Backslap, and I want everybody to know that they can hear you, Slow-Mo. So can you please speak and let these people hear your beautiful voice?
If they can hear me, there will also be hearing me let you know that you got the wrong topics on the screen.
Oh yeah, I know that. I'm waiting. Oh yeah, okay. I didn't. I got to put the right ones up. But
Oh,
the fact that they can hear you is amazing, Slow-Mo. You know why? Because before the last couple of weeks, we had a little technical difficulty.
no, it was user error. It's not a technical difficulty. It was user error, as you said.
Well, user error does happen in this world, and I do appreciate everybody. But but with that being said, our topic list today is a good one. We're gonna be talking about God of War Ragnarok impressions, Elden Ring versus God of War, which wins game of the year. The two early predictions because neither one of us beat God of War Ragnarok yet. The Gears of War
True.
animated series is coming to Netflix, and is it going to be better than Halo show? It's not hard to beat that.
Yeah. Well, look, man. Look.
It's not hard to beat that.
I am not. Look, I'm not saying the Halo show was good, but let's not. Netflix has had some duds. They've been
They
doing
have.
better
They have.
recently. The animated stuff has been far better than the live action stuff. So, I mean, but they're doing. Look, we'll get into it because
Yeah,
they're
right. We'll
doing
get
both.
into it.
So,
Yeah. So
yeah.
Call of Duty 2023 could be paid expansion DLC for Modern Warfare 2. Oh boy. Oh, this is for Slow-Mo. Destiny 2 sees a huge player drop during season 18. We're gonna talk about that.
As it should.
Remedy announces Control 2. What should we expect from it? And the game that we all love the most. You know, some people have it number one, some people have it number 2 or 3. But BioWare teases the next Mass Effect with a gift on N7 Day, which is November 7th for all you people that didn't know. So got a lot of stuff to talk about, but first, I want to dive into what my homie's been doing because shout out to him being flexible. I had some family stuff that came up that I had to take care of yesterday, so we had to move the podcast to today. And Slow-Mo he's a gem, and I love him so much, and that's the only reason we were able to move the show to today. So I want to know what he has been doing for the last 8 days since the last time we did this podcast. What's been up with you, bro?
Well, up until about Tuesday, all I was doing was playing Call of Duty multiplayer, Rogue Company. I beat. So the last time that we spoke, last time we did the podcast, I was like probably halfway through God of War 2018. And I was burning the midnight oil, man. I was putting it in the work in last weekend, and I beat God of War 2018 on on PC. So I played it in native 4K, no dynamic resolution stuff, max settings. Didn't even need DLSS or anything like that. 60 frames per second. Great. Now I'm so glad I did that because everything is so fresh in my mind going into Tuesday, where I have literally I've only played 2 other games since God of War came out, and I've only played those 2 games. They are Halo Infinite and Grounded because of friends who wanted to play them. Otherwise, I just would have been playing God of War, and that's all I've been playing. But I've been so glad that like I actually put the time in to do my rerun of God of War 2018 because they make little references to things that are fresh in my mind that I know if I didn't play through it again and hadn't actually experienced the story again for like the past 4 years, I've been like, yo, who was that? Who are they talking about? So it's been a joy. I've been having a lot of fun with it. What about you, man? What you been playing?
Ah man, so for myself, started out the week playing a little NBA 2K. I also, well, I finished my my God of War run last week on PC, but I was also playing Destiny a little bit this week because they had double Nightfall reward. So trying to get ready for the next season. But I also knew as soon as Tuesday hit, it was a wrap. So I did the midnight, picked up my copy of the game that night, and been pretty much full tilt outside of I think probably an hour and a half, 2 hours that I was running a little bit of
I mean, we might as well just run into God of
yeah,
War
that's
impressions
the
at
well,
this
that's
point.
literally the first
Just
part.
go into the first
Yeah,
topic.
it's
Yeah.
going into we go we got to switch over to the great God of War game. Got to switch over. So good. But yeah, man, that's all I've been doing, man. I mean, Call of Duty is awesome, and I guess we could talk about your impressions. I forgot about it. We could talk about your impressions. I know you probably saw the DMZ stuff for Call of Duty because we are very, very deep into that game too. So, what your thoughts are on that is, so we can add that to the Call of Duty conversation when we get to it. But yeah, God of War, man. I didn't expect it. I mean, I expected it to be good. I ain't expect it to be this good. I didn't expect it to. I didn't expect it. It's kind of hard to say. It's like it was already a great game in 2018, but they fixed every issue I've had with that game, and that is so. And I haven't had any bugs. Like this is I don't even want to say this is like the perfect game to be a sequel of one of the best games that ever released. It's still one of the best reimaginations I feel like they've ever done. Things that people thought would not work in a God of War game, they made work back in 2018, and they refined it even more. So slow mo, how many hours do you have into it?
I have 18 hours in the game.
18 hours, man. 18. So this man has literally put almost a couple of days worth of God of War in his brain between 2018
That's
and
not
this
even
one.
one day.
No. I'm talking about between playing 2018 too. You just finished 2018.
Oh yeah, yeah,
So
yeah. And
between
that
those
took me
two,
about 20. Like I didn't do a lot of the quests in 2018, although I'm doing all the quests in Ragnarok. I mean all the side quests, that is.
so what do you
Just the
think of
base
about it so far?
story for 2018 is like 22 hours, somewhere in that range. So I think I ended at 21 hours. And so I got 18 so far, and I don't know if I'm close to the internet. It's kind of hard to tell,
It's
but
very hard to tell.
are we okay? I was about to I forgot what your question was. What was your
No,
question?
no. So what is your thoughts of just the experience of the game so far?
Well, I think they well, this I have to give Sony Santa Monica a lot of credit here. The first game was excellent. It won Game of the Year, and they still went into this one with the intention to improve upon all the criticisms that people had of the first game. And there weren't many criticisms, right? But people had an issue with the repetitive boss fights. It was always you're fighting a troll, for the most part of the mid level bosses. It was always a troll. People had um just like little issues here and there, and they addressed everything. And I think that I think that the game has kind of like set a little bit of a standard now for PlayStation Studios when it comes to how to do a sequel. And for anyone calling this DLC, like I think that if you play the game, you will realize this is not DLC. Like DLC, first of all, the implication of DLC is that it is a part of a previous of a actual full-fledged game. Like you can't even own it without owning the actual game, the original game the DLC is a part of. But even if you wanted to call it an expansion, or like this isn't Miles Morales, this isn't Lost Legacy. The story is far too vast. They've put far too much time and created like so much new stuff in this for this to be just an expansion. It's just not. If you look at like how one of the complaints of the previous game was, oh, you know, we see about all these realms that we don't get to experience. Where you want to get to experience all of them in this game, you know, and it's just it's it's such a like breath of fresh air, I would say, considering a lot of the other content that's come out this year that has tried to be kind of in the same vein as this, but just not as well done. So I'm really enjoying it so far. Uh, the side quests are the kind of side quests like I do get the similarity that was brought between Witcher 3 side quests, which are very detailed. I wouldn't say they're quite on the level as Witcher 3 side quests. They are good side quests though. Like you can end up spending. This isn't like copy pasta, which you would get with Ubisoft. When it comes to side quests, this is like you'll do a side quest, for example, and it'll have multiple stages of the side quest the way you would have a main quest have multiple stages to the quest. In addition to that, you'll also get other minor quests, side quests that will be asked of you that you could do while that are like kind of strategically put on the way to you completing your side quest. So it's kind of smart game design in that. Um, the worlds are all like every realm is very different. Like you look at a realm and you'll be like, yeah, I know that realm because it's like a waterland kind of thing or a rainforest kind of look to it, or you know like Midgard now is just all snow, or you know all the other realms all look vastly different, and the game looks amazing. It plays amazing. It's pretty good. I like it, man. I know I'm kind of gushing over here, but go ahead, man. What are your
Gushing.
thoughts?
Listen, man. I am a huge um I am a huge proponent to a game that has weight to it. Like it makes you some people don't like it because it makes you feel like you're a little stiff. But the way that they implement it in this game, and somebody said, I think it was Firestar said it in the chat, the movement feels quicker because Atreus doesn't feel like he doesn't feel like you're carrying him everywhere. He doesn't feel like he feels like an actual competent, AI component that actually leads the way in certain situations. You don't feel like you have to like and you never really, I think you had to babysit him in the last one. He really couldn't take damage or anything like that. But it just seems like they opened it up to, being able to utilize him a little bit more. So it doesn't
Mhm.
feel like a crutch when he's there. And it makes the gameplay just flow so much better. And I think I only unlocked probably, I don't even know if I unlocked 5% of what like you can do inside this game when it comes to the overall skill tree, not the skill tree, but like your combat tree and everything.
Oh yeah,
There
yeah.
are so
There's a
many
lot there.
different ways you can go, and not only just when it comes to your Leviathan axe, even with the Blaze of Chaos, there's an upgrade tree for that. Um, stat mitigation when it comes to like going for more defense, for more offense, and more strength and everything. I think that's really really cool. The thing I'm enjoying the most.
Oh, we got a spell check.
Oh, we do. Oh Lord, where is it at? He'll tell
Uh,
me.
Taz will let us know.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
he'll let us know. Um, I love Taz. But no, it's like as I'm playing the game and I'm playing it, shout out to Taz, gave me a really good deal on my surround sound system that he gave to me. I I was looking at like how can I record gameplay because my capture card is hooked up to my PC. And shout out to PlayStation for still having the best way of
Yeah,
being able to record your gameplay.
it's so simple.
It's
Yo, just
simple. You
Just
literally just
hold down the share button and you're recording.
and you're
I
recording
yeah.
directly to the hard drive on the system. And then guess what you can do after that, slow mo? Hook up your external hard drive and transfer it. Oh my
Yo,
god! Listen, I was like, This game will never see my PC monitor ever. I mean, maybe it will see it when it finally comes to PC because I definitely want to see what it's like at 100 and something plus frames per second. That would be
and
it's,
all the visual
and all the
upgrades.
visual upgrades and stuff.
They need a roll with I'm continuing to forget the name of. They didn't use Nixus for God of War. But they also didn't use Iron Galaxy, who sucks at doing ports. I can't remember who it was they used, but they did a great job, and they need to
Yeah.
use them again on Ragnarok. Just use them again because Nixus is busy. So
Yeah,
yeah, but
Nix
yeah,
is
go
very
ahead. Yeah.
busy. No, but like the sound design in this game um is pretty awesome. Like when you hit somebody, like when you're doing like the kill animations and you run somebody up against the wall and you're hitting them with the axe or with the blaze of chaos, you just hear that thump, like boom, boom, boom. I feel like, yo, my floor is shaking. Like it is so like the thing about this game I love is the immersion. Like that is something that, and I hate to like compare, games, but you take, Xbox's flagship game, Halo, when
Mhm.
you had those combat scenarios, it was good, but did you really feel or hear what was happening in the game? It just feels like this was like designed on a whole nother level, and that brings you even more into what they're trying to achieve with the game. And the game is freaking massive. Like I'm 12 hours in. And what you're seeing right now, I didn't want to put any gameplay of, any of the story beats. We're just doing a side quest right now. And going to Slow-Mo's point, this side quest took about 30, 40 minutes to do because it's a 3-part quest where you got to go to 3 different places. And I really, really enjoy stuff like that. You could kind of get lost in just doing side quests and not even progressing the
Hey,
story.
real quick, you know what's hilarious?
What's that?
The humor in this game is really good, and
Oh, the one
there's a
about
lot of little meta moments that
oh
like
yeah.
one of them is kind of a spoiler. We ain't gonna talk
Talk about
about.
the
You
one in
or
the
it's
boat. Talk about the one in the
early.
boat.
No, not that one. That wouldn't be a spoiler. I'm talking about the one very early on, like the first big fight.
Oh
Um,
yeah, 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 yeah. I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
but no, I mean, like for example, you just mentioned how the quest that you're showing in the gameplay right now is a 3-part quest. Um, I remember now. I'm much further along than where you would be in the story. I know you're further along than where this gameplay is, but just like I'm further along than where this is in the story.
Oh yeah, you're
That's
definitely way
it.
further along than this.
A lot of the side quests, although they're very detailed and they have very good stories, and they're they're very well done. This isn't copy pasta, but they're all 3-part quests. And
Oh,
I was sitting earlier today. I'm doing one, and I'm just like, this is my third attempt to find this thing. Yeah, this is definitely the location that I've been looking for. And then Mimir goes, you ever notice that we go on these quests and it's always the third location? And I'm just like, how did he know that I was thinking that? I mean, it was just like they realized we've used this mechanic multiple times already. Let's just kind of let
make
the player know that, hey, look,
you
we
know.
know. And it's just like little smart dialogue like that I appreciate. Um,
It kind of breaks up
I
the monotony of you feeling like you're doing the same thing over and over when you get something like it kind of resets your brain a little bit.
Yeah, but even then, it's not like okay. For example, I'm going to use the division as an example. The division will have side quests where it's like stand at this location and wait for the JTF, which is like the task force that you're working with, to come pick up these assets that you're protecting from gang members in New York City. And it's like the first time you do that, you be like, all right, I held it down for 2 minutes, cool, typical wait here and deal with waves of enemies kind of quest, all right. But then you find out like there's a quest like that in every single borough in New York in the division, and there's no variance, there's no change, there's nothing different with it. By the time you get to the east side of the map, you're sick and tired of that kind of side quest. Some people will probably would choose just I'm not doing it no more because I'm tired of seeing the same dialogue and the same mission structure. The difference between what God of War Ragnarok does and your typical other AAA game is that even though it may be a three-part mission structure, the location is completely different. What you're doing and your motivation of doing it for is completely different. There is a ton of like dialogue and story elements that help that give you your motivation or to keep you engaged in the story in order to really just like keep it fresh, and so it's like it's so different compared to what you get from your typical AAA game. Now the reason why I say it's not as quite as good as The Witcher is because The Witcher side quests, or even hey look, Cyberpunk side quests are done the same way.
Mhm.
They don't have a set structure of like 3 parts. It could be 5 parts. It could be 2 parts. It all, and they vary it up so much that like you don't quite know. Like you're not going to have that moment like I did where I was like, well, this is going to be the end of this side mission because I'm on the third location. So it's a little different there. Yeah.
No, that's good observation because now that you say it, I noticed on the two that I have done, they have all been three. And I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. That's fine because as long as you're enjoying the combat and enjoying the story elements that they're giving you, that's all that kind of matters.
Hmm.
But for the most part, man, I mean, this game is just something. It's kind of hard to kind of comprehend how well this game has been received, not only from gamers in general. Shout out to all the stores in my area. We're completely sold out of this game. I still have people coming in looking for it. I'm like, man, I wish I had something for you.
People still looking for physical.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm just joking.
yeah, people
No,
still people still out here looking for that physical
when
copy.
we get offline, I want you to tell me where you're at so I can at least discuss. Because like
Okay,
I want to discuss parts of the story, but of course we're not going to do that. The game came out 3 days ago, so we're
yeah,
not going to do that
yeah, we probably
on the
won't.
show.
We probably won't give a full like our full thoughts and stuff. Probably
Give
not
it.
even.
Let's give it like two
Yeah,
weeks.
I'm saying
Give it
like
like 2 weeks.
yeah, exactly.
At
Give
that
everybody a
point,
chance
if
to
you
do
haven't
it.
beat the game yet, that's really kind of on you, and you probably were just waiting to play the game. And in that case, like you might want to skip that section of the podcast, but we'll give it 2 weeks before we start
Yeah,
discussing real like
sto-
spoiler kind of
yeah,
stuff. But
story elements and stuff.
I feel like so much that they changed is a spoiler. Like the
It
things that
is.
I want to talk about that are drastic changes to it's not necessarily a drastic change to the gameplay, but still yet a change to the gameplay that I can't really speak about because it's a spoiler. And it would but in where I'm at right now, like I can't discuss anything in detail of where I'm at right now because it's a spoiler. What I did notice, I don't know if you noticed this or not, the boss fights are more difficult in the side
Ooh,
missions
yes, they
than
are.
in the main missions.
Yes, they are.
Cause where I'm at right now, of course, no details, but I'm doing a side mission, and I just like this random boss just showed up, and I kind of figured it was going to happen. The person that showed up, just because Mimir kept referencing where this person was.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, you keep bringing it up. I'm gonna see him eventually. And I have died like 4 times in a
Oh.
row. So I was like, let me put a pin in this. I'm about to do the podcast. Maybe I can come at this with less frustration once the podcast is over. But yeah, I've noticed the side mission bosses are more difficult, which I think is I think makes sense because you're going to have your more hardcore gamers doing all the side quests. They're going to be the ones that are going to be readily want to take on that kind of challenge versus your more casual player. It don't really care about the side missions, just really invested in the story, and they probably just going to be like, "Mm, you know what? No, if the a main quest boss is this difficult, they might put the game down and not finish it. You know,
Right.
so I think that's probably why they did that, which is also probably the reason why I think Elden Ring did something similar. A lot of, except for maybe Elden Beast,
Mhm.
that everyone hates, because he's a cheap boss. But the more difficult bosses, Radon, uh, Millennia, Blade of Milica, um, who gives everyone nightmares, and PTSD. Uh, those bosses were optional. You didn't have to actually fight them, but you if you wanted, to get the best gear and new weapons and armor and stuff like that, yeah, you went on ahead and you went on ahead and fought them. Even pre nerfs for Radon, but no, I can see myself. I don't know if I'm a platinum this game or not. I platinumed Elden Ring. This one, I don't know. I think I'm still like,
Yeah, that would be a good follow-up question, but go ahead and finish your thought.
yeah, because I'm doing everything. Like I see it, there's a quest available, I do it. And I see how, like, if you they're counting how many. There's probably gonna be a trophy for it, but like I haven't checked the trophy list. I don't know, but they're counting how many like chests you open, how many like slabs with ruins on it that you read. They're counting all that stuff. So I'm pretty sure if I read them all or I read a certain number, there's going to be a trophy involved with that. And I'm just like every time I see something, I just go to it. Can I get in there? Can I figure it out? Like I complete one side quest and then like, oh, there's a whole area above us, and it's like the characters around you will mention that, and you'll be like, maybe I should go up there and check that out. Next thing you know, like you're doing a whole different thing for the next 30 minutes. It's pretty cool, man.
Yeah, I agree with that. And moving on from that, because the further we go, the more and more we want to just spoil this game, and we don't. But
Right.
but moving on from that, you brought up Elden Ring, and that was a good comparison to the point that you
Mhm.
just said that you platinum Elden Ring. What is the reason? Before we even get into the whole game of the year discussion, what is the reason you think you platinum Elden Ring? And did you know you were going to platinum Elden Ring as you were playing it before you got to the point where you said, I'm going to do this early? What was the reason you did it in that and you don't think you'll do it in this?
I'm sorry because I was replying to somebody. I'll just say it in chat to Mitchie. Mitchie said I didn't think you were a completionist. I'm really not. I'm only really a completionist when I'm really, really feeling a game. Then I become a completionist.
And that's
So
and
yeah,
that's why I'm asking, like, what was it in Elden Ring that made you say, I want to platinum this game versus right now you're saying, man, I just
I couldn't. You know how much time I put in the game, man. I could not play when Elden Ring came out. I could not play anything else.
you couldn't, I know.
I literally only played Elden Ring. It came out in February. I played it all February and well for the rest of February because it came out like later in February, but for the rest of February and all of March. And when other people say they platinum Elden Ring, no shade to anybody who did this, but a lot of them save scrubbed, which like this it is what it is. You're able to do it, then fine, you do it.
Yeah.
Um but save scrubbing is you have one playthrough, you save, and then off you save your game save near the end, um, and put it somewhere else, and then you reference that save back after you beat the game because with Elden Ring, in order to get the platinum or to 100% it, you have to get 3 specific endings out of the 6. And I didn't do that. I actually had 4 different characters. And so I beat the game with all those characters and just made sure that I did the endings that were a part of the trophies. And so that was just, I was already playing like these completely different builds on completely separate versions of a playthrough of the game. I was just that invested in it. Now, someone Michi asked me, did I platinum God of War 2018? I did not. I liked God of War 2018. That year I actually enjoyed Red Dead 2 and even Spider-Man more than God of War 2018. So for me, although I had fun with it and I thought it was a high quality game and deserving a game of the year, once I beat the main story, I was good. I didn't even go fight the Valkyries. I was good. I moved on to other stuff.
That was a true end game right there.
Yeah, that was your
Yeah, the Valkyries
post game content.
That
was
was
the
your
Valkyries.
true end game was the Valkyrie.
Now I beat the story, had spread the ashes, walked off the cliff, not walked the cliff, walked down the cliff with Atreus, and saw the credits roll, went back to the house, saw the whole after credit scene with Thor showing up. I did all that, and then I didn't load up God of War on PlayStation again. But this game, man, this is I think it's the extra stuff that they did, the little things. I said this on Twitter. My favorite thing that they improved from the previous game is the fact now you have the option to auto pick up items.
Yeah.
Like just being able to walk over something and pick it up instead of having to hit that button it's a time saver, and it saves on my annoyance.
Have that turned on?
Yeah.
I need to turn that on.
I went through the options and stuff before I even started the game. And I saw that there and I was like, yes. Immediately was like turned it on. I have not played this game without that on. And it's great. It's great. The only time I can't pick things up is when some items don't allow you to be picked up because enemies are still around.
Enemies are still around.
So I just wait until the enemies are dead, and then I'm literally just running to where those items are across the map, and as soon as I run over it, just like Kratos does the animation and picks it up and moves on, and I'm just it's an instant time saver. I love it. But it's like little things like that have really cut down on my annoyance on things, and I'm not saying God of War 2018 annoyed me, but there was enough little things that made me just say, let me just finish the main game and move on. And so far, like, I mean, it didn't have side quests like these, and this is it's definitely a step up. Yeah. Now, okay,
go ahead.
I was gonna say comparing it to Elden Ring. Elden Ring, the side quests in this game this is going to be really difficult because Elden Ring, I think, is a generation-defining game. I also kind of feel like this is a generation-defining game as well, but not so much as Elden Ring will be. There are things that both of them do that are better than the other. Like I think these games, when it comes to terms of like impact on the gamer, they're both very, very close with that. Like for example, like this game, we talked about how the side quests are done so well. The side quests in Elden Ring are terrible. They're poorly done because From Software doesn't like, they have this thing where like you don't have to have like a like in Fable where there's like a little bright little like shimmering light that just showing you where to go. You don't have to do that, but give a brother a hint or something. Like give me anything that says what am I supposed to do next here, instead of having to go to a YouTube video because somebody figured it out eventually. And like a great example of that in Elden Ring is when you're doing the Ronnie side quest. And so Ronnie is this demigoddess who she has the power to like transfer her soul into different bodies. And so she transferred her soul into a doll. And you find this doll, but like there is zero indication from the game at all of what you do with that doll. It's just look, you find the doll in a casket, and you're just like, all right. And there's a grace, which is like a save point or whatever nearby. You go to the grace, and there's an option now at the grace to talk to doll, but it's like if you didn't like anyone who says they just knew automatically to do that is freaking lying. You are a liar and a bad one at that. Nobody would just, oh, I have to go talk to this doll. I'll only be able to talk to this doll at a grace site. Let me go to a grace. Only a developer who worked on the game would think that. And it's little things like that with Elden Ring side quests that are just unnecessarily difficult for no reason. It's not difficult because the game is difficult. The game's already like it's a From Software game. It's probably the easiest From Software game, but it's still a From Software game where you know you're gonna get bodied. But like difficulty with just knowing where the hell to go, that's not like what you want to be difficult in the game. I don't want to be confused because you suck at explaining things, you know? And so definitely this game has that over Elden Ring. I think Elden Ring has lore, better lore than Ragnarok, you know, even though it's Ragnarok's lore and story is great. Story and lore are two different things. And I think would you agree with that?
Absolutely.
Forte?
I think the story, this is the thing. I think the story in God of War, just from a presentation standpoint, is phenomenal. But I think Elden Ring, to your point, kind of puts it together in a way that is kind of different, not the traditional way that you would kind of take the story in. A lot of it has to do with environments and stuff like that. Um, just a lot of reading the mythos of the
Mm-hmm.
game and everything like that. Where God of War is more of the traditional storytelling, where you got a character that talks, you know, and you have protagonists inside of that game and antagonists inside of the game that have either love hate relationships with you. It's a lot to it.
Yeah, I think lore. I always say this like, and I say this in my Elden Ring review, and check it out if you haven't watched it.
Oh my god! Wait a minute. Did you just see that? This
What?
this island I'm on right now. I came to it. I'm like, what am I supposed to do? And I just noticed when I turn right here, see those gold bricks on the ground?
Yeah, you were supposed to blow it
I was
up.
supposed to
Yeah,
blow that up.
right.
I literally just noticed that right now because I was like, oh, I'll figure this out later.
Dude,
I literally said I'll figure this out later and I'll come back. And I
dude,
literally just seen it right now.
multiple times with like the puzzles in this game. I have been just once I realized what I was supposed to do, I feel like a dummy. Like
Mm-hmm.
I feel like a complete dummy. I'm just like, how did I miss that?
I
Like
literally
and
just
it's
seen it
some of the
just now.
most minor stuff that just like, man, my brain is just I'm working on nothing right now, or I don't know what's
This is
going on.
also
My eyes stuck.
Well, this was also from I want to say this was last night at about 2 in the morning because I played till like 4:30 last night.
Hmm.
So this was probably around the beginning parts of me starting to play like around 1:30, 2 o'clock. And then
Yeah,
it was like I was already, and then I was like, man, I gotta work tomorrow, but I gotta get this God of War in.
yeah. Now, what I'm saying about like story and lore, story is the story that's being told right now. Like Kratos and Atreus. I keep saying his name wrong. Atreus going through this realm trying to, you know, achieve a certain goal. That's the story of the game. It's what you're seeing and is being told in the moment. Lore is the context, the background information. what is the, and you get the lore from this section from Mimir explaining to Kratos why you're there to destroy these factories because of the smokestacks and how they're destroying the environment, and how Mimir was complicit with Odin in tricking the dwarfs into building these factories, not knowing the damage they were doing to their own world and their own environment. That's lore. You know, it's information you don't need, but it makes everything so much richer. You know, it makes the motivation of what you're doing and why you're doing it better. I think the lore in this game is great, especially because it's building off of a lot of Norse mythology. So all the characters that you see are just like, yeah, I know that guy. Yeah, I know this person. I know that person. I'm not saying names because then that'd be spoilers, but I know these people, because I've read about these people, and in English literature class and stuff like that. But I think the lore in Elden Ring is better because in Elden Ring, you can get the full history of a character that would just, and it's like some epic stuff. It's some stuff that like you almost wish was a part of the actual story in the game to actually see it. There are characters that like you will have the entire history of, and all you saw in the game of that character was their dead arm. I mean, it's just like literally that's all you saw. Or for the Queen America, her desiccated corpse is all you really see of her, but she's so influential in the entire like lore and story of the world. So it's like so different between both of those elements. But I think I prefer, even though the combat, I'm having a ton of fun with the combat. And God, well, this is difficult now that I think about it. Because I'm having fun with the changes they made with the combat in this game. But even though those changes are there and they are fun and excellent, Elden Ring has way more build diversity, and you know how I am when it comes to
That's why you
build
have four, that's why you
diversity.
have 4 characters.
Right, exactly. Because I always want to do something different and try something else out. And in Elden Ring, build diversity is based upon your weapons. So if you have a specific weapon, for example, I forgot I forgot the name of some of these weapons. But the sword of, I think, of ice and storm. I think it was ice and fire, whatever. Actually, it might be Game of Thrones.
It is
But
Game
there's
of
this.
Thrones.
Yeah, but there's a specific sword that has faith magic and intelligence magic to it, and it changes how you play the game. You could basically change. You would, if you get this sword, you really want to make the best use of it. You would actually build, completely redo, respec your build, your skill tree, your stats, and everything around maximizing the ability of that weapon. I had one of my third character in Elden Ring was this woman who had her abilities were faith based, and I had this black knife that was used to assassinate like a bunch of people. But this black knife, Night and Flame, thank you, Firestar. That's the name of the other sword. But this black knife, it had this special move where she would jump up in the air and she would like hang in the air like the Matrix, and then she would do this spin, and then this black flame would come out of the knife and hit whoever I was actually like aiming at, and it would take all this damage and do damage all at the time, just burning them afterwards. And I would spec my entire build around being able to use that for ranged combat, and then switch to another faith-based attack for closer melee. You see what I'm saying? Where it's like you get more options in this game for combat, but it ain't on that level.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I think when it comes down to it, you're looking at two excellent games that came out this year. And for game of the year, I feel like I'm long enough. I've spent enough hours into God of War where I can. I haven't finished it. I actually I don't want to say that. I haven't finished it because I'm not going to say which game is better. But
But you have an
even
understanding of where the
if
game is going, though.
right, and I can see the story is excellent, and I can see where like how it could be a game where a lot of people say this game's better than Elden Ring. That said, I don't think, and I've said this multiple times, a game being better than another game doesn't mean it's going to win Game of the Year or win any nomination.
Yeah, especially when you're
Be-
that close.
right, and it's so because it's all about who is voting on this.
True.
I said it when last year when people was like, "Yo, oh, Returnal is going to be nominated, going to be a Game of the Year nominee," and I was like, "No, it ain't." Why is it not? Because Returnal was hard. And think about the people that are reviewed the game. A lot of those reviewers
2 left thumbs.
are voters with their two left thumbs. You may have loved Returnal, they didn't. It's not getting nominated. And did get nominated. When a game is a gaming community darling, and I'm not saying either of these games are darlings, but just like usually that's just like the case. Like we see that we call it the snub list.
Yeah.
Oh, Fire Emblem Three Houses didn't get nominated,
Mhm.
and then for Player's Choice, Fire Emblem Three Houses was nominated for Game of the Year and Player's Choice just because people was pissed that what didn't get a nomination. That game wasn't gushed over by the critics. They didn't care about that game. So it's like
It's true. They did.
we have to look at it from a broader perspective. Even if you feel God of War Ragnarok is a better game than Elden Ring, Elden Ring might still win Game of the Year
But the thing
just
is,
because of the impact that
yep,
it had.
yep,
Yeah,
that's what I was gonna say. And
go ahead.
the biggest thing for me now, not having to play Elden Ring, but just being a person that was probably the closest you can be to Elden Ring without playing it, because I saw the impact up close and personal with people coming into the store buying it and asking them what was their reasons for doing it. That the thing is, God of War is culturally a more accepted game. More
Hmm.
people rock with games like that, even though it's still considered, on a grand scheme of like high selling games, it's still considered niche because Spider-Man is like 20 million sold and God of War hasn't even come close to that number yet. And this one probably still won't, and this one won't come close to it either, just because Spider-Man has like that worldwide appeal. More people can play that game. A lot of people can't. You're not going to let your 5-year-old play something like God of
Yeah,
War. You're not going to do that.
everybody everybody appeals to Spider-Man. It
Everybody
doesn't
does.
matter. All the major regions that you got people who love Spider-Man, where they're hardcore gamers, casual gamers, no gamers at all. You'll have Spider-Man fans buying a Spider-Man game and don't even like
And yep.
forgot they had a PlayStation for a good portion of
Yeah,
the time.
and the biggest thing is, like, when you look at that, the Souls community is even more niche than that. Like,
Hmm.
super niche. And the fact that you had that many people and that many copies of that game sold and people buzzing and talking about it, and the only reason this conversation is being had the way it's being had is because a lot of people recency bias. People are
Yes.
playing God of War right now, and and Elden Ring was in February. So it's
Also, a
good.
ton of capping because
Oh,
we got
a
people
ton.
out here saying things about Elden Ring that is 1000% not true. And I'm just like, did
Yeah.
you play this game? Because I can't tell if you played the game or not because you don't seem to know what you're talking about.
Right.
Go ahead, continue. No,
No,
right.
yeah. And so I'm still like, this fight is a lot closer than I thought it would be. I mean,
I agree.
I'm a huge God of War fan, and I didn't think that God of War had a chance at heck beating Elden Ring for game of the year because I just didn't expect them to do the things that they did with this game. I didn't usually when it comes to a story, the story's good, but it doesn't like kind of hit like the first one did. Not too many games do that. That's why we consider games like Mass Effect 2 to be like one of the greatest games of all time because there isn't too many games out there that literally one up the original game that way to make itself stand apart from its, its counterpart or from its prequel and stuff. And
Hmm.
this game has kind of done that. But the thing is, it's going up against a game that literally defined a completely a genre of game that was the niche of the niche. Like the 5% of not even 5% of the community played games like Elden Ring. And we saw that game hit heights that we never saw a game like that hit. And just the impact of it alone, I feel is going to be the thing. But God of War does have a fighting chance, and
Absolutely.
it's going to be close. And in the first time, and this will be the first time I say Slow Mo's his opinion on how Game of the Year works, especially when it comes to like how Red Dead and God of War went down last time. God of War might see itself on the opposite side of that spectrum this time,
Right.
and that might
When best voice actor, best this, best sound design, best like you start seeing Ragnarok winning all that and Elden Ring is just is striking out, go ahead and just get ready to see that Elden Ring be called for game of the year because that tends to be uh, Jeff Keighley's awards. He can say whatever he wants about, I don't have a say in the voting process, and I agree on at least on that aspect that he doesn't vote, but I think he definitely does. And like the way stuff just tends to work out in certain ways, it seems like he's very tuned in to make sure that all parties
Mhm.
feel uh are leaving as if they won something. They got
Right.
something. And I think that would be the case, absolutely. Like if Elden Ring is winning all the categories that they are nominated for, then it's put a fork in it. It's Ragnarok for the main win.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, so with that being said, like we don't want to kill it. We want to have stuff to talk about later because there's a lot of stuff to talk about this game. The last thing I do want to ask, well, the last two things I want to ask you. One, I've been seeing a lot of people's gameplay. And you said you went in, and I'm going to turn on that auto pickup because that definitely comes in handy where you just one less thing that you have to hit a button for. But there was other accessibility options in there too, like auto lock on. Do you have that
mhm.
on?
Auto lock on.
Where
Well, no.
where it does
It
it
that
locks on to it does up to 3 people, it locks on?
Oh no, I don't have that on. I don't. I didn't even know that was an option.
Yeah, I
'Cause
noticed it when
I
I
looked through the options, but I guess I just didn't realize that's what that meant. I didn't no, I didn't
yeah, I
have that.
noticed on some people's gameplay when I was looking at it, I was like, "Yeah, that camera's snapping real quick to the next person."
Yeah, I don't have auto lock on.
I don't either.
Um
It does
the
make the
only
game
thing that
harder.
I changed, I turned on performance mode, of course, because I gotta play at 60 FPS.
Right.
And
Same. Yeah, this is 60
uh
FPS.
and I turned on the auto pickup for items. I think that's it. I think everything else I kind of just left as is.
All right,
I
and
don't think I changed anything
all right,
else.
last thing. What difficulty you playing on?
I What's the one that's right under Gimme God of War?
Give me no mercy.
Yeah,
That's the one
yeah,
I'm
that's the
playing. Oh, shout out to you. That's the one I'm playing on too.
because look, man, I want a challenge. I ain't trying to be here all day.
I ain't trying to be here all day. I was looking at it
I
because
got things to do.
I was looking at it like, okay, I played 2018 on the balance experience, the normal experience, and I was like, I want to kind of step it up because I feel like this game does seem it's not as hard at that level as I think the last one was, but I also think
Yeah,
it's mostly due to the fact that your character's free of movement is way better in this, but you also get
yeah,
surrounded fast in this game.
yeah. I use the blades more when there's mobs
Yes.
versus the axe when it's just like a few enemies there. I tend to like because the blades have more of an AOE like range of attack, whereas the axe is literally just it's it doesn't have that kind of range. So I've done that. I do notice a lot, like I talked about earlier, about different regions having different kind of weather and different looking very different. I definitely tend to end up using the weapon that is the counter to that region. So like you're in the desert and there's a lot of flame enemies and stuff around or something like that. I use the axe, the
Yep.
Leviathan axe more. If I'm in Midgard, I'm almost exclusively using the blades unless I have to pull the axe out to do something puzzle wise or something like that. It's just like those are the kind of choices that you make. And I think they defined what was really necessary, really well, there. But also, I mean, it's not like you can't use the Leviathan axe in Midgar.
Just don't do as
Uh,
much damage to the enemies. It takes long.
right, and if you're playing on higher difficulties, it's just you should
We ain't
just
trying to stay here
do
that long.
your right. You should just do yourself a favor and switch to the blades because if especially now that like some of the changes they made gameplay wise, we could say this, at least this part. The enemies in the first game, the people, the raiders and bandits that got kind of like cursed and turned into like ice people,
Mm-hmm.
they now have like this armor, this ice armor that you have to burn off. And you can knock it off with the Leviathan axe, but it takes longer. Either it takes longer or I can't remember because I haven't actually been in
Well, they
Midgard
have a
in a while right
second.
now.
They have like it's like they have like this shield over their shield where it's like
Yeah,
it shows
like
like
yeah,
it shows if you break that, that's like breaking their armor, and then you're at their health bar, and then you can work on their health bar with whatever weapon you want. But
right,
using
right.
that element
You
to
use
like
the
take that is
yeah.
the best way to go about it.
If you use the blades, you're knocking that ice armor off almost like really fast versus the axe, and vice versa when you're dealing with like fire enemies and stuff like that. So it's well done. It's well done. I'm enjoying both games, and we got the the nominees for the Jeff Keighley Video Game Award show coming Monday
Yep,
at
Monday.
noon. So when that happens, I mean. We're gonna. I mean, of course, this game is gonna get nominated for Game of the Year. So was Elden Ring. Probably
What's the other four?
the other four will likely be. Oh man,
Question: will Sony get two
it's gonna be a
games?
Nintendo game. They'll they will probably get Horizon Forbidden West as well.
Okay.
Uh,
Remember we talked about this a while ago. I guess we'll see on Monday.
yeah, the token Nintendo game, right, has to be.
Good one.
What did Nintendo have?
Because Pokemon,
Pokemon,
they'll just miss out on Pokemon Scarlet.
but there was another Pokemon that came out
Arceus came out
earlier this year,
earlier this year.
right? Either that one or what Xenoblade Chronicles
Oh yeah,
3?
Xenoblade Chronicles 3 could hit it. Fire Emblem, Three Hopes.
Mm, nah, because that's like Dynasty Warriors kind of.
Oh, it is? Okay, I didn't play this one.
Yeah, that's why I skipped it because I like my Fire Emblem.
I
I
think
like
Cult of the
actual
Lamb is
Fire
going to
Emblem.
be the token indie.
Yes, I agree. Cold the Lamb is the token indie. Um, if people in the chat are thinking
Oh,
Plague
some
Tale,
people said
I
Kirby.
haven't.
Kirby
Uh,
Forgotten Lands could be it. Oh, Bayonetta could be it too.
uh, you know that.
Depends on how you like Bayonetta. A lot of people did like it.
But wasn't that performance really bad?
It's on the Switch. Of course, it's bad.
Yeah, well, yeah, people tend to give the Switch a pass for that.
That's true too.
I guess we'll see. We'll see. But no, I guess we ready to move
let's
on.
just move on to the next topic. And shout out to, if you're playing God of War, enjoy it. It's a gem. Savor it. Get that. Show that you're playing it by putting your gameplay out there. PlayStation does have a very, very superior way of putting your gameplay.
Be
on
careful
Twitter.
though. Don't be just like the game just came out 3 days
be
ago. Don't be
very,
tweeting out
yeah,
main boss fights.
don't do
Don't be
that.
tweeting out Kratos decapitating Thor. I don't know if that happens or not. It hasn't happened in my in my playthrough so far, so I don't
I
know.
will say the
But
first two boss fights in this game is
yes, they are. They're great. They're great.
they
But
set
that
you up
like
real strong with them.
yeah, like if you're gonna like tweet out gameplay fighting against mobs and stuff like that, like don't be tweeting out like, hey, screenshots of you beating the game and rolling credits. Is like you got the last 30 seconds of the entire ending. Like, come on now.
Yeah, don't do
Let's
that.
let's 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 be a little considerate of the people who aren't trying to rush through the game and actually want to like take some time and savor it.
Yeah, so let's move over to our next topic. Talk about the Gears of War animated series that is confirmed to be coming to Netflix and
And a live action movie.
a live action. Yeah, true, and a live action movie. That's ultimately gonna come down to casting, how good they do with that one. Uh,
Yes.
who do you think about that? Who do you think could play
Well, I think it's
Kratos?
already a given. Dave Batista
Dave
is
Batista,
going to
yeah.
be Marcus Phoenix. Now, I might have a minority opinion here, but let me
Go.
I'll
I'll
explain
track
it
with you.
myself
I'll
here.
track with you.
Let me give some people some context. I have played through the original Gears trilogy like 4 times. I have played Gears 4 and 5. Well, 4 once, 5 twice. And I've read all the books. Okay. So now you're talking to someone who just like, look, I really enjoy the Gears story, the characters, the world, and all that. Like, I have read all the books. That's it. I would prefer if they did not try to find actors for the live action that are basically trying to be Marcus, Dom, Baird, and Coltrane. I know they're going to do it anyway, but I would prefer that they just look. There's a ton of gears out there. When I say gears, that's like the soldiers, the soldiers that work for the cog. There's a ton of them out there. In Gears 3, they introduced Jace for the first time, and Jace, in lore wise, had been there the entire time. So you didn't even see him until like the third game. I just can't. I can't get with them trying to, because this is going to be one or two things. They're either going to do treading over ground that's already been covered by the game and the books. The books covers like so many years prior to the locusts attacking Emergence Day. It covers so much more than that. It's difficult for them to basically try to live up to that. And maybe people might be like, well, slow mo, like you may have read the books, but the vast majority of people haven't. Not even a lot of Gears fans have read them. Cool. I understand that. But then maybe just cover things that happened before Gears 1. But I think if they try to continue the story or do the cardinal sin of, well, it's just a video game. We're gonna do our own take of the story, like Halo. I think you're going to end up losing people, and there's going to be a problem. The animated series, I think you can have a little bit more freedom to there, and I think if you look at something like Edge Runners, Cyberpunk Edge Runners did so much for Cyberpunk as far as getting people extenuating the best parts of that game, which is the world and the lore and the character of the city. And then they used a lot of like minor characters in the game in the animated series, and then had all the main characters using weapons and cybernetics and stuff that you could readily get in the game. It was super smart because what it did, and it worked with me. It got a lot of people who weren't really probably going to play Cyberpunk ever again, or didn't even intend to give it a shot, to go give the game a shot. I'm pretty sure Microsoft would like that to happen with Gears, right? But you're going to have to actually come up with something that is compelling that does that, but then also isn't like treading over the same ground the games is done. Because then, like, why am I going to play the game if the anime or the movie, live action movie, did the same story already? You see what I mean?
Yeah, I do. I
Yeah. So that's my thought on it. I just don't want it to be. I don't want it ruining what was already done with like really good campaigns, and I don't want it to just like it be good, but then it's like it's literally the same story as Gears 2 or Gears 1 or something. And it's just like, well, what's the point of even playing the game at that point? All right,
right.
I'm done. Go ahead.
No, I agree with that. I think for most people, their fondness of the Gears franchise is based in Gears 1 through 3. And I guess the reason you make a show like this, especially off of an IP that isn't the same IP as it was during the time that it was when it was hot, is you're trying to find a way to revitalize it and get
Mm-hmm.
people to get back into the franchise, or people to be excited to play the franchise. And that's why I think you won't see, like, perfect example, like it's why you probably won't see like a carbon copy of the story of what it is, because they want people to still go back and visit that story. I also feel like it's nothing wrong with having these characters like Coltrane and everything in it, but maybe they shouldn't be the focus. Marcus Phoenix he could be a focus, but it shouldn't be a focus of all the rest of the team as a part of it. It should be like this side thing that talks about everything that probably happened leading up to Emergence Day, everything that happened in the I forget the name of the battle, and everything that they reference to a lot inside of Gears. I feel like
Hey, Forte, Bam reacts in the chat. Said to turn your mic up a little.
okay, thank you.
Go ahead.
But yeah, I think in general, it ultimately comes really down to what is cinematically, what can you bring that hasn't been done, and what is going, because that's the thing. Gears is all about high octane action. So how are we going to portray that on a screen? How are we going to make these larger than life characters seem relatable? Because it's kind of hard to do that in this type of game and stuff. So I think they have a very, very tall hill to climb when it comes to that. But I also think that as long as they can like touch on the source material, but they shouldn't, like, the source material shouldn't be the basis of what the show is. It needs to be a complementary part to it that makes people like, oh, so that's how this is where the game side of the story picks up. And this is when they went into a different direction. Maybe it could be an alternative, not reality, but go and, talk about the locust side of it, talk about, being buried and everything like that, and how they came through the emergence holes and stuff. Like, what was their political reason? Because the one thing people don't know is the locust is not just enemy race. It's like almost like a spiritual race, the way that they are
Well,
worshiped and
they
stuff like that.
actually revealed the origins of them
Yeah, they did.
in Gears 5.
Yeah,
So it's like they could definitely explore that.
they could.
But part of the reason why when you see a book, a series of books that come out, and those books are like based off of a video game,
Right.
um, those books very rarely are like retelling the story from the game. And a lot of them don't even have the characters in the game in them. And the reason why is that because they're trying not to, one, they don't want like major events to happen with characters they're going to use in games again. Like they don't want to kill off a character that was in a game in a book, and then you don't know what happened to that character when the sequel comes out. They don't want to have major story stuff actually get done through books. So they create new characters that are compelling, and then if those characters really hit, they'll add them into the game. A sequel, as a side characters, like Dragon Age Inquisition did that. The characters in a few of the characters that were in the book, the Dragon Age book that came out right before Inquisition came out, were in a side quest in Inquisition.
Right.
The same thing with Mass Effect 3. The whole Grissom Academy, where those biotics where the kids with biotic abilities were being attacked by Cerebus, and Jack, who was on your squad in Mass Effect 2, was there defending them. That entire academy was in the Mass Effect books. The character Kaylee Saunders, that was Captain Anderson was real fond of and really wanted you to make sure that you save her. She is a major character in the first two of those books. Like, that's how you kind of like merge different mediums together. And they're going to really do this Netflix thing well. You want to create new characters that people can feel invested in, but it doesn't hurt or harm the actual video game media side of things by having them exist. In Edge Runner, to go back to Edge Runners, they created a character, David Gonzalez, main character there. He turned out to have a big affinity to being able to take cybernetic implants without having all the side effects that usually comes with that. And he was awesome. There was a girl, there was a net runner there, I forgot her name. But like she's like was super good in the animated series as well. All those characters, none of them are in the game whatsoever. None of them. And it's like that's a smart way of going about it, of generating interest in the game without actually harming the brand of the characters that are in the game.
Yeah. That's true. I think in general, it just ultimately comes back to if you have the characters that can push the story forward, you just need. That's why I always thought prequels always make sense when it comes to this. Think about Fall of Reach.
Yes.
Perfect example. You already have an existing IP. I mean, by this time, yeah, Halo 1 was coming in. We're working on Halo 2. And the mythos was Master Chief was the only Spartan left. Well, they went back and showed you how that came to be, kind of how it came to be.
Right. They've kind of done some mini retcons here and there on that, but
well, the same thing with like think about it, how they brung Kelly, Linda, the sniper. They introduced.
Forte, are you eating?
No.
Aram said eating podcast. Okay.
Eating.
Go ahead.
No, I'm not eating. If you take Linda, Kelly, the sniper, they were introduced inside of Fall of Reach in the book.
Yeah.
But
so was Fred as well.
And Fred was too. And guess what? Yeah. They all finally got introduced inside of Halo Guardians, Halo 5, which just happens to be probably the worst game to introduce them in because it had like the worst story elements.
Yeah, but it wasn't their inclusion that was bad. It was just
the overall story.
The main story arc was bad. The fact that you fought the same boss like 20 times in the game. That was bad, but those 3 Spartans being in it was a nice nod to those who read the books and knew who those people were and knew their backstory and how important they were to the Master Chief and Blue Team.
Yep, I agree, and that's why I think that's the best thing that you can kind of get from something like this. I just feel like they need to find a unique story that tells something that people. Not even that people want to know, something that people didn't know. And at this point, the Gears universe is so big, there's things that they can build it on. and introduce those new characters. And maybe those characters, like I said, people will say, well, those characters don't make sense because we already in the Gears 5. Well, they can always go back just like they did in Halo. 5 games in, you finally get a chance to see some of the people like, oh, the Spartans aren't all dead. They were just lost and we couldn't find them, and we finally found some of them. That's things that can kind of, come from like, the reception of a movie, a book, a TV show, anything like that. So
Yeah,
I'm
I mean, look,
hoping,
and they have history of this already. In Gears 3, all the new characters they introduced in Gears 3, and that was the only one that had 4-player co-op, I believe. And every one that they introduced in Gears 3 was a character from the books.
yeah, every one of them.
So like I fully expect that with this animated series and live action, if they're creating brand new stories and allowing writers to really spread their creative, you know, wings, so to speak, and really deliver on a story that doesn't have to tread over, basically tiptoe around work that has already been done by other people. I mean, it's gonna be some of that anyway because of like
Right.
major events that have happened in the world. But like, it's if you're not, you get a lot more creative freedom if you're not just basically using characters that have already been created with their own personalities and character archetypes that you can't go out of, or people just say that's not authentic. That's not how this character will act. You ruined this kind of deal, So it gives the writers more freedom, and I think that that's where you get your best stories from.
Right. I agree with that. So I think we're all truly optimistic about something like this. I mean, we were very optimistic about the Halo show. It just ended up, it wasn't horrible, but it just wasn't what a lot of people wanted it to be. And let's hope that, Microsoft not only gives us what we want to see inside of it, get the blood, the guts, the glory, the grit of what a Gears game could be, but let's just make sure they take their time and make it. Like, we don't have to have this game or this movie or this show up just because of some type of anniversary date. It just, whenever it's ready, bring it out then. And I think that's what a lot of people would just like to see, because I would like to see what a Gears universe looks like in an animated series, or even better yet, on a big screen, because it definitely has the makings of something that could be great if they do it. But
I also,
go
I
ahead.
mean, like I know it's Netflix, but they can't skip. They can't skimp on the budget
No, they
here.
can't
Look,
skip on the budget. I mean,
that armor,
yeah.
like that armor has to look authentic. It has to look sturdy. Not like some paper mache BS that sometimes the armor in the Halo Paramount Plus TV show looked like. The Spartans looked fine in their armor until they started moving. Then they just looked like just fake. And it needs to have the armor that they're in needs to have like a weight to it. It needs to look like
Hmm.
worn and kind of scuffed and beat up. Like you need to really put some like work in the architecture of the city Jacinto and how like that city normally looks. Like you need to really build sets that really would transport the watcher into that world and just see just how hopeless a situation is, where you're literally in the last city left standing on the planet, and you're just constantly getting bombarded with attacks by monsters from under the ground. Like that needs to be that feeling has to be conveyed through the film. And if hopefully they're able to deliver on that, but I think it'd probably be far easier for them to create that kind of atmosphere in an animated series than live action, because the budgets are going to be so different.
All right, so let's move over to the next topic. One of our favorite games, Call of Duty. I can't believe we're saying that because neither one of us played Call of Duty that much over the last 4 or 5 years. We just kind of stayed away from it. But this Call of Duty is
Hmm.
something special. So Jason Schreier put out a tweet. I don't know if it was yesterday or the day before, basically
2 days
saying
ago.
2 days ago, basically telling people, hey, let's get the record straight. Call of Duty in 2024, the one that's being made by Treyarch, is gonna be is gonna be I think he said something about a deal. He said DLC for 2023. So the one that we're getting next year, he said is gonna be akin to
It's like
paid
a high paid
expansion
expansion for Modern
Warfare
Warfare
2,
2,
meaning they're
which I
technically
am kind
skipping a
of,
game, basically.
yeah, because I'm kind of, so I don't know how, because like we don't know the official word on how much it's going to cost, but a lot of people are assuming it's going to be $70. If it's $70, you're going to need to, in order to feel like for people to feel justified in paying that price cost, which of course we know a lot of the hardcore are just going to get it anyway. But like, in order to really kind of deliver on something like that, you're going to need to have some kind of expansion or a continuation of the campaign.
Exactly. I was thinking the same
That's
thing.
like me, like minimum 5 hours, right? You're gonna need to be finally what they would I said they should have did from the start was like bring back those maps from the original Modern Warfare 2.
Bring shipment
Like
back.
the maps need to come back. Like if you're doing all of that, then it for people it feels like okay, I am playing all the content that's new for me compared to the 2022 release that I would typically get in a new annualized Call of Duty. So like that needs to be like how that works. And I'm not quite certain they're gonna do that, but we'll see what happens. It is what it is. I'm still playing, of course. I haven't played as much since God of War came out, but it's no guarantee I'm still playing this game a year from now when this comes out anyway. So it is what it is. What about you?
No, I'm the same way. I'm really still feeling the game. I really like it. I think your explanation on the story beat, I feel like is a valid one. I feel like that is something they definitely need to do.
Oh, real quick,
Yeah.
Rosaire, shout out to Rosaire Double O. He says Shipment and Shootout is coming season 1. So
Okay.
they are putting in the original maps
So that's on
before then.
that's on
So
that's on December, November 16th.
right. So let me amend what I said for
They
this
still need to add more.
2023.
It's a
They
lot
need
more
to have
maps.
enough new maps. Don't pull a Overwatch in Blizzard. Overwatch 2 is more like I wouldn't even say Overwatch 1.5. I think it's more like Overwatch 1.25. Like it's a it's a quarter
It's a quarter.
of an actual
One
sequel.
point 1.25.
Yeah, like they didn't upgrade the visuals at all. There's no visual upgrades of a game that came out in 2016. That's one. Two, they only added 3 new characters. Yeah, 3 new characters, and I think like 2 or 3 new maps. So essentially, that's an expansion. That's that, or not even that. That's just an update. That's just a seasonal update. 3 new characters, 3 new maps. Like that's it. Like I get more from free to play games doing one of their new season than I get from Overwatch, and that's the kind of thing that I hope they avoid. And the reason why I'm even bringing it up is that they're both like being ran by Activision. So
True.
like if it's that happens with Overwatch, there's a high chance it could happen with Call of Duty, especially considering how they started implementing some quote unquote security measures where they are uh forcing people to divulge a phone number to attach to an account in order to play. And it's that happened with Overwatch and it happened with Call of Duty on PC. So I'm not saying everything that Blizzard is doing with Overwatch will be reflected on Call of Duty, but you can definitely see some influences there.
Yeah. Um. mm, So my biggest thing is I really like your idea of expanding the story element do we really need to get a Modern Warfare 3? Can we just add the campaign to Modern Warfare 3? Because why can't we just add Modern Warfare 3's campaign as part of the DLC for next year, and then add some of the maps from Modern Warfare 3 and add some of the, enhance that with some more maps from Modern Warfare 2? And if you want to charge
Well, the
$70 for that,
structure by the way they do things, it would be Treyarch's turn next, I think.
yeah, Treyarch is
So,
the 2024 game. Or 20, no, they
oh,
said Treyarch is
2020.
2024. Sledgehammer
Okay,
Sledgehammer is next year.
okay, okay. I don't think there's enough time for them to come out with a Modern Warfare 3 from in less than a year after dropping Modern Warfare 2. That's just not enough time.
Is that
Even
potentially?
with them, even with them using the same engine, even with them, potentially using a lot of the same game design and weapons and stuff. It's just I don't think that's enough time at all.
I just
So
noticed something in this gameplay.
what's up?
The attention to this, I'm a sucker for attention to detail. When I kill these two guys and I pull the pistol out on him. Do you see the you see the gun, the muzzle smoking out of the barrel?
Yeah. Hmm.
I didn't even notice that till I just saw it. I was like, dude, the muzzle is smoking. It's like
You've been playing too much Destiny, man. A lot of games
I
do that.
know, that's what I'm saying. I
Yeah,
don't
yeah. You
get
need to play
that.
some better games out here that actually do some basic stuff like watch your gun smoke after you
Hey
shoot
man,
it.
listen, calm down. Destiny's guns do smoke. They just don't smoke like that. And and that was
Mm.
a great segue, so because we can move over to that. Let's talk about, and you could be very slanderous on this if you want. I'll give you the floor first. Destiny 2 has huge player drop during the current season of season 18 right now. And yeah, he's not lying. It definitely had a huge drop, but there's a reason for that. But I want to hear what Slow-Mo's thoughts on this.
Oh yeah, I know what the reason
I
is.
want to hear what Slow-Mo's thoughts of this is. Why are Destiny 2 players leaving or go on hiatus at a massive rapid rate over the course of the last season?
They woke up from their fog and they realized I've been wasting my time playing this boring game. Let me go play something else.
Oh,
That's exactly it. It's people are tired of having a second job that you don't get paid for. Instead, you're paying them to do work. And so when you're sick of doing work, when you are done with work, then you're gonna go play something else that is actually fulfilling.
okay. Is that all you got?
That's it. That's all I can say.
You say you gonna
I have not been engaged in the Destiny ecosystem and since I beat Witch Queen earlier this year. So once I did that, I uninstalled the game and I have not thought about Destiny really at all since then. So, but I'm pretty sure since what was that? When did I beat that? That was, let me double check. I feel like that was
I
probably
think it was around. I think it was
March.
March, April when you beat it.
Because I beat it after, I know it came out in February, but I beat it after I finished Elden Ring. But let me just double check to make sure when I
Shut
beat it.
up!
But
Forget you, Flame. Go play Warframe. We got the real space pirate game.
exactly,
Warframe's
even then,
amazing. I love
they're
Warframe.
copying other, and they've been doing this for a while, but like they're copying other looter shooters. But unlike Fortnite, that copies other, live service games and then does it extremely well and makes it work for them. I don't really necessarily know whether, like Gambit, they got the idea of Gambit from
Halo
th-
5.
well, maybe Halo 5, but also the Division Last Stand
Well,
is the
yeah,
same thing.
that too. Yeah, I think mostly
Um
Halo 5 though. They actually mentioned that in the Vidoc.
and Gambit sucks. I'm just here to Gambit
Gambit
sucks,
doesn't
man.
suck.
Gambit is awful. I
Gambit
can't
doesn't
stand.
suck. You just can only take so much of it.
That means it sucks, man.
No, listen, I played a
if you
lot
can't
of Gambit.
engage with it.
Played a
By the
lot,
way, I beat it in June. But
dude.
regardless, it doesn't matter when I beat Witch Queen. They ain't, I guarantee there have not been new multiplayer maps put out since then, right?
Yes, there has been.
They have new maps.
Yeah, they had one new map. There's one.
One new map in how much time?
One new map in 5 years, it feels like.
Disgusting.
It's very disgusting.
Absolutely
It's
disgusting.
very disgusting.
They should be ashamed of themselves. But no, why would they be when I'm about to say the
No,
Destiny
go
community
ahead.
doesn't hold them don't hold them accountable. But I think they are finally holding them accountable. I have to shout out the Destiny community because I used to get on them for basically just taking it. Just bending over and taking it from Bungie.
Mm.
Complaining about things, but you still playing the game on a daily basis. And as far as you're playing the game and spending your money on Glimmer and Bright Dust or whatever to get cosmetics and buying them $100 expansions. They don't care about you complaining because you're spending money, and that's all they care about. That's all they want. But now that y'all not playing as much as y'all used to, and shout out to our friend Ash and Luca, who I don't know when the last time she jumped on Destiny. When y'all not playing no more, like one of my good close friends is a Destiny crackhead. He's a huge Destiny crackhead, and he been playing Grounded.
Good for him.
Play some Halo Infinite co-op campaign with me this week. He'll still jump in Destiny every now and then, but he's done no life in the game. And good for y'all. Stop no life in stuff that doesn't benefit you at all. Okay, like it's a drug. I don't know what it is. They must be doing some kind of subliminal messaging in the gameplay. They did interwove it in the code to make y'all addicted to keep playing this game that's doing nothing for you. It's doing nothing for you.
Sound
Okay,
you sound like King Thrash right now with the double repeat of the words. shout out to
Shout out to Thrash.
shout out to homie Flame with the $2 super chat. Says Slow-mo, we should admit Destiny has a PvP side to it.
How about Bungie admit that Destiny has a PvP side to it?
That's probably more accurate because it's like they forget, like, hey, this is a PvE game, but oh wait a minute, there is a PvP element to it that we just
Yeah.
really don't support.
How about y'all stop introducing PvE elements that break your PvP?
Well,
Yeah, I mean, like most games that have a PvP and a PvE side have learned that you need to balance it so that your PvE only players aren't being hurt by you nerfing things. You have to have it separate, like you can't nerf a gear set that people enjoyed and works great in PvE because of PvP. Because you got people who don't even do the PvP that's just like, well, look, I don't even do that. But you're now making me have to build a whole nother, build because you nerfed my gear.
true.
But then you also can't have the PvP only people having this completely worthless stuff to them being introduced into the PvP side that's breaking the balance of the game. You have to balance both. Bungie just refuses to. And they wait until after people complain for something that's like common freaking sense. Like what was the name of the abilities? Where it was like freezing people. What was that called again?
Stasis.
Yeah. That was stupid. Why would you allow that in PvP? That's stupid. But they did it, and it should have been common freaking sense. But no, when you don't care about PvP, then you don't think about those things until the community tells you. So yeah, good job, Bungie.
Yeah, I think for myself, the biggest thing that ultimately is the reason for this happening is partly you are right. They definitely, from a PvP standpoint, they definitely need to add more content to the game when it comes to that, when it comes to maps and stuff. That ain't the issue when it comes to PvE. PvE got way too much stuff to do. There is an abundance of stuff to do. But you want to know what the problem is, Slow-Mo?
What's up?
It's boring at this point. There is nothing.
Oh, wait, what?
You heard me.
Say what?
It's boring.
Wait.
It's boring. It's boring. It's legit boring. Like we just
Destiny's boring.
Listen, we just got the thing is
Destiny's boring.
Destiny, yeah. Well, again, Destiny's boring right now.
Borstiny. That's what we're gonna call it.
Yes,
Borstiny.
It's boring right now, and you know why it's boring right now? It's because the things that and I actually recorded a voiceover for this, and I just gotta put gameplay to it because that's my next video. The thing about Destiny right now.
Oh yeah, definitely do a video talking about how boring Destiny is now. Do that. I'm watching that. I'm gonna retweet it out.
I'm gonna do it.
I'm gonna make sure everyone sees it.
I already made the audio for it, so it's about a 12-minute video of me ranting about what needs to be better. But the biggest thing that's really happening here is everything that of note is the chase for in this game it's nowhere near what it used to be. Like we used to have guns like Not Forgotten that you had to get the 5500 in comp. You know, one of the hardest things to do inside of the game, you know, play that much and be that good at the game to actually make it to the top of that mountaintop. And now stuff like that, where those weapons were so good that it made people literally pay other people to do their accounts to get them to get that weapon because it was so amazing to have it. But that type of stuff's not there anymore. Stuff like Luna's Howl, not there anymore. Mountaintop, grenade launchers weren't even like the easiest thing to use back at the beginning of Destiny 2. And Mountaintop was one of the best PvE grenade launchers you could have in the game. And once they sunsetted that, it's like, okay, so what's next? They never really truly replaced any of this stuff. There's been weapons that have moved the needle. You had guns like Anarchy, which was a really good grenade launcher, but then they finally nerfed it because it was like the go-to damage option for everybody inside of the game, which I understand that, but they never replaced it with anything. And so at this point, it's like you're doing all of this hard content. You're doing these raids. You're doing these Grandmaster Nightfalls. And it just feels like you're checking a list. It's like a checklist right now. It's like, okay, I did that. Oh, I did that. And then we have like these seasonal events. Like we just had the Halloween event, which was Festival of the Lost. And I found myself barely playing it. It's like, I don't want to do any of the mundane stuff that they want you to do. I'll do a little bit of it, but once it gets to a point where it feels like it's a job, because that's the one thing about Destiny to a lot of people. Technically, it's almost a job because of how much time and effort you have to put into it to stay, you know, up to date with it. But it doesn't feel like that. The game literally started feeling like that this season. And it always happens within like the last half of a year of a DLC. We know Lightfall is about 5 months out because it comes out in February. So we're on that back half. And now you're starting to see like the kinks in the armor when it comes to what Bungie's doing when it comes to these seasonal activities. I just don't feel like they're really hitting that note that they usually do hit, and they normally don't because they always say go play something else. That's why I'm so thankful for games like God of War and games like, you know, Call of Duty being out right now, because I play more of those right now than I play any of Destiny. If it wasn't for the fact that Taz is still over there playing and wants me to play with them when they want to do certain things, I wouldn't be playing at all because there's really nothing to do. I'm in that mode right now where I just log in, get my weeklies done. I want to get ready for next season because next season starts, I think it's December 6th. So I want to be ready for that because there's going to be a lot of stuff that's going to happen with the game when that happens. But right now, people are just like kind of tired of where the game is, and there's nothing of note to keep you there. So I don't want to rant on it about a lot, Destiny is Destiny and it's going to get better. We always know they're going to throw out a sweet trailer that's going to talk about season 19 and everybody's going to be super excited. And then I'm going to come on the show and I'm going to say, Slow-Mo, you see what Bungie did? Bungie's the kings of marketing and they know how to get their player base excited, which they know how to do. but I just need them to do it more consistently, not at the beginning of the season. I need to entice people to want to continue to keep playing the game during the season and not want to fall off and say, why is this game so boring right now? And that's kind of where 90% of the community is right now. But other than that, Slomo, you got anything else you want to say about this game before I move on?
That we spent more time on this game than
Okay.
Destiny has spent on this PvP, so we should move on.
Okay, let's move on. Moving on to our second to last topic, we have Remedy announces Control 2. Someone, did you see this coming?
Yes, actually, we had some information
Yes, we did.
that Remedy was working on this months ago.
Mhm.
So I was already aware that this was in the works, but it's good to see them announcing it. It's probably likely still in pre-production. So I'm not expecting it to come out anytime soon, but I would love to see like advancements with their Northlight engine. That's very, very CPU heavy as far as its game physics and what it does. But at the same time, they Remedy likes to be on the cutting edge of things, and they were one of the first developers out there that was pushing towards like implementing ray tracing and DLSS and stuff like that. I'm really excited for what they're going to do. There are a couple of things that I would like um, improved from Control. One is the map is horrendous. It's probably one of the worst maps I've ever
You
seen
see it on the
in
screen
a
right now.
game. Yeah, it's an awful, awful, awful map, and it so they gotta do better with that. I actually had a list of things. I actually had a list of things that I had spoke on that I would like to see improved, and where is that list? Oh yeah, okay. So I would like them, and I say this about all Remedy games because Sam Lake is a good writer, but Sam, we don't need like we're not reading a book here. We're playing a video game.
Mhm.
So, can you stop with the over reliance of documents and correspondence to tell the story and just get more cutscenes. Like I in Quantum Break, there was a character, the actress that is the main actress of Control is actually in a side character. She plays a side character in Quantum Break, and I think her story is the most compelling story in the entire game, but we don't see any of it. You just
Mhm.
read about it. And it's just like little things like that kind of irk me. Um, a lot of what is happening in the story for Control is happening through reading it. So for a lot of people, they don't really engage with Control's story. They just like the gameplay because it's hard to understand what's going on. So I think they got to do balance that a little bit better. They did mocap for the main characters in the game, and not even all the main characters, because that woman that's like the assistant to the director, um, her face is a mocap, and she's in a good portion of all the dialogue. It's like it's obvious when they didn't mocap characters' faces for certain scenes, and when they did, and they need to just mocap everybody that's going to have a major speaking role going forward, and then the last thing I would like to see improved is like get rid of those useless mods. You pick up all these mods every time you kill someone. It's just they just spitting out mods for your guns everywhere, but the majority of them are trash. You don't really need them, a lot of them, and I just I stuck to like one mod where like every time those little lights, little like bright dust or whatever it was would come out of an enemy. If I ran by it, it would give me health recovery. Like I stuck with that the entire game, and some of the other mods that of like that gave boost to the push and the shield and stuff like that. Like I stuck with those. Like And once I found mods that were like really good, I never changed it, and they never gave me a reason to change it because the bulk of it is just trash to get deconstructed. And so they make those improvements, and I think they're gonna have a real major hit on their hands. What about you, man?
Yeah, I'm kind of the same. The mod system is kind of all over the place. And shout out to Flame. He said those mods have feelings too, slow mo. I'm in the same place, but also shout out to Glacian3 with the $5 super chat. Says happy Veterans Day to all the veterans. Happy Stansfield Days to all the bots. Oh my god. So thanks for the super chat love, bro. Really appreciate it. But yeah, I feel the same way. I just think the one thing is like when you have the main protagonist, like how well the mocap is on her, you could definitely see how they skimped on a lot of other people. It's like it's like compared to what they did with Quantum Break, like where it felt like everything was mocap, like down to just the enemies running around the environment and stuff. It felt like it was all done in sequence with each other. It just seems like they
Hmm.
kind of, I'm not gonna say phoned it in with this because I don't think they did that. I just think that since this game is a little bit more open compared to Quantum Break, where you're a little bit more closer to the character and stuff, I feel like they just felt like that things were a little bit further away and they didn't have to do that extra polish when it came to like the mocap, so they could get away with just animating and stuff like that. Especially like you said when it comes to faces, but I also think that's because you're not really in people's faces like you were in Quantum Break in this game too. A lot of stuff is
Yeah,
happening from afar. But that also comes back to the pedigree of Remedy. Remedy has always been really good and known for that. And when you don't do it as well as you normally do it, people notice it, especially in your games. So that's something that I definitely think they could do better with. The one thing I really liked about Control is when it came to just the environments, the particle effects and stuff. I'm a huge sucker of just environmental effects and stuff shown in the game. I mean, you saw me just go over like, oh my god, there's smoke coming from the barrel on that gun. One thing that really, yeah, I mean,
you were
serious.
really stuck on
Yeah,
that.
I was like, because I like stuff like that. That was the main reason that, like, no lie, the reason I upgraded to Nvidia, because this is when I was running a Radeon, I think a 7970, the dual GPU that Radeon had for back then. I was playing Warframe with that, and the fact that I couldn't get Nvidia PhysX with the particle effects is the reason I switched to Nvidia, because I wanted to have the particle effects, and you couldn't get that on an AMD card. So like it really enhances the experience. And the one thing I think this game has in spades is it really makes you like feel a part of the environment when you got all of the sparks and all of the projectiles and everything float through the sky. I think that's the one thing that I liked about Quantum Break the most, even though in the game wasn't the greatest. I liked the presentation of the game. And I think Control has a really, really good presentation, but I want to see that taken up to another level, knowing that, the lowest denominator is, yes, the Xbox Series S, but it's definitely leaps and bounds better than what we got with the Xbox One S and X when it comes to that CPU performance. I want to see a lot more emphasis put on the performance of the game, and I want to see all that stuff flowing a little bit more.
That's true.
Yeah,
They went too hardcore
way too
with
hardcore.
yo, the hardware that was out when this game came out was nowhere near capable. The PS4 Pro and the Xbox One X were not capable of handling this game.
No, not at
Shoot,
all.
most PCs, actually, no, all the PCs
We're struggling.
struggling. I think
Struggling.
when this game came out, I think the most powerful GPU at the time was a 2080 Ti. And the most powerful CPU was the i9 9900K.
9900K, yeah.
And I'm talking, you couldn't get 60 FPS in this game with ray tracing set to max and everything. I actually installed this game
Yeah, how is it now with
briefly.
your 3080 Ti?
Yeah, okay, so like when the announcement came out, I was like, oh yeah, man, I haven't tested this game with my new GPU yet. because I always like to when I get a new GPU, let me test out. This is like the benchmark test that that the people typically do. Let me go ahead and test this out, like on like the more difficult games. Control used to be one of those games when you watch the benchmark videos on YouTube that like it was one of those games that's always there, and they always test the hardest games to run to let you know how good the GPU is compared to other GPUs. And so I reinstalled Control, played through that one little that the music box thing where it's like you go into like this whole other like dimension, and you're like you gotta like take down like this tower by like completing objectives in like these 4 areas. And so I did that, and um it ran pretty well. I mean, I played it at I didn't do 4K because once again, one of my pet peeves with PC right now is that a lot of games that come out, they don't give you the option to switch displays, which
Right.
is like I have a dual display, and one's a 4K display and the other one is a 1440p display. Sometimes like, I want to play things in 4K 60 instead of 1440p 120. And I wanted to try this at 4K max settings because I know that like the card is capable of it. But unfortunately, I had to do with 1440p. But even then, so look, I got 9700K CPU, overclocked to 4.7 gigahertz. I got 32 gigs of RAM. I got NVMe SSD storage and my 3080 Ti, bruh. 1440p max settings and max ray tracing with DLSS off, 40 frames per second.
Oh wow.
Turn DLSS on and it was like 75. With ray tracing off, it stays above 100 frames per second the whole time. But with ray tracing on, like the ray tracing is really heavy in that game. Really heavy.
Mm. Yeah. I think a lot of people are going to kind of be excited to try this game because it was one of the better games out there, and I think a lot of people really enjoyed it. So if you're a fan, definitely be on the lookout for more information and stuff that comes out from Remedy about this. I know me and Slomo will definitely be giving this game a go when it comes out because guess what? It's gonna come out on PC day and date, baby.
It's
So
gonna be a while though. We
it's
we,
gonna
we
be a
waiting.
while.
It's gonna be a
We're gonna wait
minute.
a minute. All right, moving over to our final topic.
Let's do it.
BioWare teases the next Mass Effect with a GIF on N7 Day.
And now his gift has been decoded as well as all the
It's
audio
been
stuff. I'm
tore
telling you, the
apart.
Bioware community, like they knew what they was doing. Like, no, we gonna give them the most difficult stuff to figure out. We're gonna make them do work. And they within 24 hours before N7 Day was over, they had already decoded that audio and everything. And so the audio, unfortunately, I don't know if you saw the information. So the audio is Liara to Sony's. It's Liara from the original trilogy, and
Okay.
she's talking about how the council would be upset with something that the humans did, and they should not have doubted like the humans' ingenuity or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And you combine that with what the GIF is, which is like some kind of space station being built. And then in the audio logs, they kind of discuss like some person that was running the project has like a human name, but then there's also other people that have like alien names too. And here's my theory. My theory is that the humans are building their own Mass Effect relay. Because all the, at the end of Mass Effect 3, all the relays were
All the
destroyed.
relays to destroy, yeah.
I think the humans are building their own relay, which, because I think that they believe there is one relay that is still active, and it's the relay where Shepard is, who's still alive, and they want to go get Shepard back. So that's what I think is happening. And the council was probably against it or whatever because the whole galaxy is trying to recover after the Reaper War.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that's what was going on. Of course, I don't think it's probably not right, and it's probably not super accurate, because why would they be revealing major plot stuff to us at this point when they can't even show us like an actual trailer of the actual game yet? Like, it's too early for that. But I'm excited just to see what happens. I'm hoping BioWare is capable of handling this. Mike Gamble, who was on the team for the first 3 games, is the lead director now, which I'm hoping he's up to the challenge. And I'm hoping that he isn't just someone who was tapped for this position because he's like one of the few old school BioWare people that are still left. So you stick around. Imagine like you've never been director material, and you've been working somewhere for 20 years, and you've just been, hey, I've just been that guy that does programming,
Yeah.
and then all of a sudden now you're lead director. Like, are you capable of doing this? Because you've never been lead director before,
Right.
and all the other directors that did an excellent job, they all work somewhere else. So, like, it's I'm not trying to be dismissive of Gamble and that saying that he can't get the job done, but it's something it needs to be said that like that's probably going to be the hill he has to overcome. You know.
Yeah, I mean, there's even more to it than that. It just ultimately comes down to you also gotta, as much as we say Mass Effect 4 or Andromeda isn't a true Mass Effect game in the sense of what people consider what we had with the 3-part series, he still has to overcome even that. Like a lot of people, their last taste of what Mass Effect was not a good one. So
Yes.
they're going to be expecting, especially if all this stuff is true about, like you just said, about the relays and the human relay, they're building another relay to go get Shepard. Uh, the moment you speak the word Shepard, you instantly are on the hook for what people are like emotionally going to be attached to what you're going to be doing with this game. And if you don't even do that right, it's going to be a very, very not even tall hill to climb, but a hard one too.
I have another theory. You
Go ahead.
ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
The main protagonist will not be Shepard.
Oh, it won't be. I know that. Who you think? What you
Yeah,
thinking? What you thinking?
I'm thinking the main protagonist will be a human from a refugee from Earth who maybe not a refugee, but someone remember in Mass Effect 3, the Captain Anderson
Yep,
was
Anderson.
fighting on Earth the entire time while Shepard was trying to build an army,
Yep.
build to defend Earth. But like we don't really know anything about like outside of just like the admiral and Anderson telling you it's just bad right now. Like I mean
It is
outside of
bad.
that,
Yeah.
we don't really know what was really happening on Earth. We just know a lot of the cities were destroyed and
Mm-hmm.
the Reapers were hard to fight. What if the new protagonist is someone who was a civilian who joined the rebels? And so like there's someone that's completely new, would be someone completely new to the franchise, and it'll allow the player to like learn about this person and kind of build from there. But like Shepard is still going to be a part of the story. But what if Shepard becomes like your Garrus Valerian?
Man, I'm telling you, bro, as long
Shepard
as
becomes
man,
the one of your crew after you rescue him, and now it's because like this is the reason why I think that they will want to do that, and it's something that David Gator, who was the lead writer on the Dragon Age series for them, said in regards when there was an announcement that Amazon Prime Video was going to be doing a TV series on Mass Effect. People were asking him what were his thoughts on that, and he was kind of apprehensive. He said, much respect to them, good luck to them. I wouldn't want to be touch that though. And he explained why people kind of like he tried to explain it on Twitter, but he also has his own YouTube channel. He's kind of done. He's retired in game development.
right.
And I'm sorry, not David Gator. No, David Gator did say that on Twitter. It was Mark Dara,
Mark
who was one of the
Dar.
directors, has his own YouTube channel, and he kind of expounded off of what David Gator had said on Twitter, and he was like, essentially, the way they wrote the stories for Mass Effect and Dragon Age, like in order to keep players to feel like they have full engagement in the story, they really kind of didn't give too much personality and character, like right away to your Grey Warden in Dragon Age Origins, or Hawk in Dragon Age 2, the Inquisitor in Dragon Age Inquisition, Shepard in the trilogy, because if you give too much emotion and too much personality to those characters, there are going to be people who are going to resonate with that, and there's going to be people who won't. And if you're not resonating really with the main character, you can potentially lose people in this kind of game. So what they did was they put all of their writing into the side characters. Your Miranda Lawsons, your Thanes, your Garrus, your Tali, all these characters, or not Rex, all these characters with great personalities, great backstories, all this conversation you have with them. And that's like the beauty of those series. When people talk about Mass Effect, they talk glowingly about these characters that are memorable. And so that's kind of like with this kind of RPG, that's the way you gotta make it work. People want Shepard back. Well, all right, they're going to give you Shepard, but now they're going to give you a Shepard that actually can like, and he's been through so much with the previous trilogy and being nearly killed, saving the galaxy. You can wipe away all the old stuff
Good.
and almost make him like, like maybe he's a little jaded now. Maybe he's a little bitter. Maybe he's the kind of a different person. Maybe he's not like, I'm not really out here trying to save the galaxy no more. I did that already, and I ain't really trying to do it. I'm here, but I don't really want to be here. Now you can kind of give him an agenda that if people don't resonate with it, fine, because you
Right.
now have a different protagonist. I think that's what they'll do with it, but that's just my theory.
Yeah. Rob the Guy says, say what you guys want, but Mass Effect 4 had really good gameplay. I
It's the
agree.
best. It's
It's
the
the
best
best
combat
gameplay of all of them.
for Mass Effect ever. But that's the only thing
The only thing.
that it has going for it is the great combat, which unsurprisingly, little food for thought here. When the original Mass Effect team that did 1 through 3 was working on Andromeda, the only thing they really did was nail down the combat.
Yep. That's it.
When they switched everything over to the B team, BioWare Montreal, that screwed everything else up. BioWare Montreal didn't have to do the combat.
Yeah, they that was already done for them.
Right.
But like I said, well, Rob, that's the other thing. Just think about the evolution of the gameplay and combat from Mass Effect 1, 2, and 3. Like being slow
It got
mo,
better every
it got
time.
better every time, and that was one thing that, and I'll give Somo the credit for this mostly because he was the first one to say it, and I agreed with him. When this Legendary Edition came out, we still believe Mass Effect 2 is the GOAT. But we also knew with the refinements that they're making inside of the game in general, and people being able to play these games back to back to back to back and not having to wait 2 and 3 years like most of us had to when we played them when they first came out, and really get the time to be attached to a game for a while, we said that it was a good chance that Mass Effect 3 was going to be everybody's favorite one of the trilogy. Because
Yep.
Mass Effect 3,
Especially brand new players.
brand new
Yep.
people, man, Mass Effect 3 is freaking incredible. It's just that there were sections of Mass Effect 2 that you sat on like this. There's no game that will ever give you, I won't say ever, but no game to this point has ever given us anything like the Suicide Mission was, and that is the pinnacle of what a game can give you at the end. But when it comes to everything else, Mass Effect 2 does it, and it does it well.
The 3 does it better.
But 3 does it better, and you
3
can't
does
take
combat better.
can't take it away from it.
Yeah, it took away having to scan planets.
Yep.
It took away it really there was a lot more the stakes were higher, not just for the main story because it's the end of a trilogy, but the stakes were higher for like the side quests too.
They were.
And like take Tally, the Quarians and the Geth, like you resolved that issue. You resolved the issue with the Solarians and the um what's the name of the race? I'm having a brain fart right
You
now. What's
talking
the
about
name of the race that Rex
the
is a part of?
Krogan.
Krogan, yes, like with the
With the
Krogan
genophage,
genophage.
yeah.
Yeah, like you resolve so many, like the impact of the things that you did are so much more stronger in 3 over 2. In addition, just the combat being better, but 2 I still think is the superior game for I think the writing was there
Yes.
because Drew Karpyshyn, the guy who created the entire Mass Effect world, really was still on board. He only
Mhm.
did part of 3, and you had characters, some of the best characters in the entire series are in all of 2, but only partially in 3.
Right.
If not at all,
If
if
all,
they didn't
yeah.
survive 2. So yeah.
Yeah, I think and just ending that, I think the biggest thing for me was we talk about the suicide mission being the creme de la creme, but I also think Mass Effect 2 by far had the best DLC. That
Oh yeah.
DLC, the
Lair
DLC,
the Shadow
the
Broker,
whoo,
Arrival.
the
Um
DLC, man.
yeah,
That
yeah.
DLC was something. Yeah, I was.
And Lair the Shadow Broker was a DLC that could be done during your run through the campaign or afterwards. Now you could do all of them afterwards, but story wise, doing some of the DLC in Mass Effect after you completed the game didn't make
It
sense.
didn't make sense. Yeah.
And something that really annoyed me was the Citadel DLC for Mass Effect 3 is really good, but at the end of 3, the Citadel was destroyed.
Yeah. So why you
So
can't do it
yeah, and it
again
didn't come out until like months after
after the
the game
game?
launched. So a lot of people beat the game, and the only way like to not have it just seem like weird and awkward that you're running around in a citadel that doesn't exist anymore is to run through the game again, which of course a lot of people did. But
Right.
like it's just yeah, the way that was designed, that's always been another pet peeve of mine, is that when developers come out with expansions on games that aren't a continuation of the story. Like let Arrival is a continuation of the story at the end of Mass Effect 2. And leads and the reason why you are arrested and in jail at the beginning of Mass Effect 3 is due to directly the actions that Shepard took in Arrival.
Mm-hmm.
But most games, like I really enjoyed the Outer Worlds, but the Outer Worlds expansions have nothing to do with the main story. And they came out after, much after the game. I beat the game. So I have like zero desire to actually go through those expansions again. I heard they're good,
Yeah, I heard they're good too.
but I'm not but like when the first one came out and everybody was like, "Oh, this expansion is great." I had already beaten the game. Obsidian didn't create some kind of like design, some kind of way for me to be able to leave the final like area of the game
Mm-hmm.
to go do that quest. So I would either have to have had multiple game saves, which I didn't have for that game, or start over just to do their expansion that they spend all that extra time on. And it's just like, yeah, I'm not doing it. So
Nope, I'm with you. And
a lot of games mess that up, I think.
nope,
Go ahead.
I'm with you, and I agree with that 100%. Just gonna be fun, and I do agree with somebody in the chat. They said I wish they Flame. I think he said I wish they finished one thing before they start another. 'Cause-
Yeah, which I actually said this to him. They were much better at managing this when the doctors were the
when the
founders of
doctors were there,
BioWare were
yeah,
still around. But they've always had 2 teams. The Dragon Age team is a completely separate team of 100 developers from the Mass Effect team, which is a completely separate team of 100 developers. At least they were. That was how they. So when they came out with Mass Effect 1, then they did Mass Effect, but I think before Mass Effect 2 came out, Dragon Age Origins came out.
It did.
And even before then, the Dragon Age team was the team that worked on Jade Empire, whereas the Mass Effect team worked on Knights of the Old Republic.
Right.
So they have always had two different separate teams that were working on two completely separate games all at once. And they were high quality games and it worked out just fine until EA. So
yeah. Well, sir, midnight. We need to go back to playing some God of War.
right.
Gotta get back to some God of War. But really, really appreciate everybody that's come through. If you want to pull up your channel member, Slow-Mo, we can do that real quick. I got mine up already. Give you a chance to pull yours up.
All right.
And once again, the people that support us on this level with memberships, with super chats, you are the real MVPs. You make the channel go. You make both our channels succeed on top of that. And it's just good to have you guys here no matter what. You always rock with us and we really appreciate that. But shout out to the members. We got the homie Dragonheart Yobi. We got Cam Solo. We got Texas. We got I'm a Rich Swag Lord. Ramon Terrell, Hargi Chani, Surtaz 117, Stardust Acero, Brap, Basement Radio Arcade Podcast, Corey Hale, the homie Elder Cat Daddy Lurks, Erodimus, Slow-Mo Backslap, DJ Oris, and that guy Smitty. Really appreciate you guys. And what about you, Slow-Mo?
I got Jerk Daddy Lurk, Cat Daddy Lurk, who's forcing me to play Dead Space Remastered in January.
Nice.
Shout out to you jerk. Dragonheart Yobi, Enrique, Hargi Shani, Texas, Ham from TSWS Gaming, Truth Serum, Big Mike, Erodimus, Ramon Terrell, Homie One Kenobi, Bunty, Sir Taz, Gaming Forte, Corey Hill, Stardust Acero, and that guy Simede. So yeah, we definitely appreciate you guys supporting us in this way. And we will be back next week for certain. At a more normal time, Thursday, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on my channel, as usual. I'm going to drop some content on the DPS channel. We haven't given that some love in a little while. Please sub to that. I'm actually going to pull up the catch your ring. Hope you enjoying Ragnarok. Yeah, what's up, bro? I'm gonna give me a sec. I'm gonna pull up the channel.
No, yeah, you're good. Go ahead and pull that up. But yeah, so yeah, we will see you next week on Slow-Mo's channel. It's gonna be a great time over there. Regular time, 9 p.m. EST, Thursday night. It's gonna be fun. And I'll see if I can start working on getting Slow-Mo to be ready to play the game Callisto Protocol, which comes out in about 3 weeks.
I'm not playing it.
Oh, you will be.
I'm.
You will be.
I ain't seen nothing that forces me to play it.
You ain't seen it yet, but you will.
Yeah, until I see it, I ain't playing it.
Okay.
As far as I'm concerned.
You hear that? You hear that, chat? You see Cat Daddy with that devil face.
Yeah, whatever you do with devil face all you want. I don't see nothing there that says I gotta play it. I ain't playing no daggone Callisto Protocol. Y'all can keep that nonsense. I don't even like watching the trailers, so I'm good.
All right, guys, really appreciate you. We will see you guys in the week next week. Enjoy your games, enjoy your week, enjoy the things that you're playing. Have a good night. Peace.
Peace.
Eyes of Guardian.
Wipe yourself off, man. You dead?